Just one step into the hallway and I could already hear all kinds of whispers going all around. What happened? Did you forget, Sandra? It's Monday. Oh, not again. Who's the unlucky victim this week? Dorothy! It's Dorothy! Look what embarrassing deed she's done. So, it was a photo of the resident mean girl, Dorothy, on a date with some old rich guy. Ben and I had zero interest in those kinds of things, but these kids on the other hand... Hey, there she is! This was the third Monday in a row that our school had turned into this gossiping chaos zone. Why, you ask? 3 weeks ago, out of nowhere, a bunch of random QR codes appeared stuck to some of the lockers. Curious, we scanned them and got access to this mysterious blog by someone called Quiet Night. They said they wanted to expose the true face of this prestigious school. So, every Monday at 2 a.m., they would reveal someone's dirty secret. And the first secret belonged to the beloved basketball team captain, Lewis. Turns out he flunked the last match on purpose so the rival school that his secret girlfriend attended would win. At first, everyone doubted it, but then someone found the girlfriend's Twitter where she posted a celebration photo. So, there you go. Everything became clear as day. Lewis immediately lost his captain title and the entire school cancelled him. While everyone was still buzzing with that, already came the next Monday secret. It was Mr. Worthing, our popular math teacher. His classes were known for their top performances. But as it turned out, he had always accidentally leaked the questions to his students before every exam. The rumor reached the principal, and he immediately had people look into it. Unfortunately, it was true, so Mr. Worthing was fired. And as you've heard, little Miss Dorothy was the third unfortunate victim. To be honest, she definitely hadn't been the nicest girl. She's a nightmare to all the new kids especially. So when her shameful secret was revealed, everyone seemed to be somewhat satisfied and talked about it nonstop. My BFF, Mary, was no exception, as Dorothy was a rival for her queen bee status. At lunchtime, we arrived at the cafeteria, but weirdly, nobody lined up to get lunch. They were all looking around at something. Turns out Dorothy was here too. She's sitting alone at a table. Not wanting to miss an opportunity to taunt her longtime rival, Mary rushed straight over there. What's wrong? Your bald lover didn't take you out to lunch today? As soon as those words came out of Mary's mouth, everyone burst out laughing. Benjamin and I had to drag Mary out of there right away to avoid any calamities. What are you guys doing? I'm not done yet. This isn't cool. Let's just stay out of it. What? She deserves it. You know the clearest what a horrible person she is, Sandra. Or have you forgotten how she picked on you? Well, it's true. I was also one of Dorothy's victims when I just got here. Ben and Mary were the ones who stuck up for me. That's also how our precious friendship all started. Ever since then, we've been the iconic trio of the smartest kids at school. Pretty sweet, huh? However, the recent dramas have undeniably affected our studies. It's like students are coming here just to gossip, and they keep chatting in class, making concentrating extra hard. Monday mornings became the biggest event in school. Everyone looked forward to it, guessing who's the next chosen one, as the embarrassing secrets continued seeping out. How Justin looks cool chewing his gum all the time, but he actually does this to mask his bad breath problem. Hardworking Julia bought her essays off the internet. The parking lot car spray painter turned out to be none other than Goody Two-Shoes Brandon. It became apparent that any one of us could be next. So people started to panic, praying that their name wouldn't be mentioned. Every Monday morning, I arrived at school to see everyone looking like zombies, cause they'd all stayed up all night waiting for the Quiet Night's post. The mystery blogger had to be one of us to know all kinds of personal secrets like this, so everyone became extra cautious of each other. It's a mess, and this has to stop. We needed to figure out who the Quiet Night was and stop this, but Mary wasn't convinced. How are we supposed to find them? There's zero clue. Stop wasting time. Let's just focus on studying, Sandra. There's no way they didn't leave any trace. We just have to stand up together. Nope. If you want to, then just do it alone. What's wrong with you? Weren't you usually the first one to avoid dramas like these? Because we could be next. So what? I'm not scared. I have nothing to hide. Then she left in a sulky manner. Mary might not care, but I did. I spent the night trying to piece the clues together when my phone had a pop-up. Was it 2 a.m. already? Who could it be this week? I pressed to see. It's Mary! Oh no! Is it about That thing? Yep, that's it. The secret about Mary's background has been revealed. Her parents aren't successful business owners, and of course, Mary is not a rich mistress like how she always acted like either. I accidentally found out about this when I saw her bargaining about the rent in front of a small house in the suburbs. When I asked Mary why she had to lie like that, she just got all defensive. What do you know? If people knew the truth, they would laugh in my face. I, of course, didn't want to hurt Mary, so I always kept it a secret. But now, everyone has found out in the worst way. The next day, Ben and I saw Mary walking toward us, looking exhausted, while everyone's eyes were on her.
Yo, how'd you think she's able to afford those flashy outfits?
Didn't that blogger say she always wears cheap secondhand clothes? Pathetic.
Hearing those words, Ben and I gave those kids death stares and rushed to get Mary out of the crowd, but she suddenly snapped at me.
Sandra, you're behind all of this, aren't you?
Huh? What? Mary, what do you mean? Why would I do that?
You're the only one who knew my secret. If it wasn't you, who else could it be? You are the quiet knight.
What she said quickly caught everyone's attention, and I felt everyone's curious eyes fixed on us.
Mary, that's not right. Remember, it's Sandra who called on everyone to find the culprit.
That was clearly a distraction to fool everyone.
Mary then continued explaining her reasonings for why she suspected me. The blogger only ever typed in lowercase just like I always did, and she also mentioned my habit of staying up late. To make it even worse, the next Monday, that blogger suddenly stopped posting, making everyone certain it was me. So I was instantly labeled a traitor to my friends and even a germ who raised hatred among students in this school. Everywhere I went, people badmouthed me, and no one except for Benjamin wanted to sit by me at lunch. I wasn't even allowed in the library anymore, as everyone would be talking about me, which would cause disturbance. Worst of all, the teachers hated me too. One time in math class, I volunteered to solve a difficult equation, but all I got back from the teacher was,
Sandra, if only you just used your intelligence for studying, not for messing up other people's lives.
Then everyone heartlessly laughed at my face. The tension was draining me, so I went out to take a breather. After recess, I got back to the classroom to find a box in my desk drawer. Oh no, wasn't it the love letters I'd written for Louis? I mean, yes, I used to have a crush on the basketball captain, but it was a long time ago, and I never sent the letters. How come they are all here? I sure had hidden them in the corner of my locker. Is it the creepy quiet knight messing with me? Ugh, that's enough. I gotta unmask this jerk ASAP. Who could it be? Who had the ability to spy on people undetected? I was trying to figure this out when a smug-looking Dorothy appeared. Geez, look at her. Can't believe she's the coward who destroys what she couldn't have. Too bad for Louis that he ended up involved in this.
Oh, such a pathetic little girl. Doesn't even have the guts to send any of the letters.
Oh my god. Did they just say letters? What letters? What on earth are you talking about? There's no mistaking your handwriting. She showed me bunches of photos of my letters. Oh no, did she take revenge on me because she thought I was the snitch of her dating news? Not leaving me a chance to explain, they just laughed and continued mocking me. I couldn't face going to school and being tormented for something I didn't even do. So I faked being sick to stay home for a few days. But it's been a week and I still didn't feel better. Suddenly, there was a strange sound by the window. Turns out it was Benjamin.
Sandra, please stop hiding away. You can't let them beat you. You're better than this.
What else can I do? Everyone's convinced it was me.
Follow me. I know someone who can help.
Now, I was sitting in a cafe with Benjamin, and Max, an IT genius in our school. Benjamin insisted this guy could help identify the anonymous blogger. After just a few minutes of checking the IP, Max has been able to track it down. But, it led to Mary's place? No way. This makes no sense. I gotta talk to Mary.
Calm down. Don't say a word about this to anyone for now. Just let me take care of it.
I had no clue what Benjamin was planning. He said he would help me clear up the case, but nothing happened for days. Until now, he insisted I'd come to watch this basketball game. What's the point? It just gave others a chance to mock me further. While immersed in my thoughts, suddenly I heard someone's voice on the loudspeaker. It was Benjamin.
Hi everyone, I'm sure you guys are tired of the Quiet Knight's blog by now, right? Yeah, at first, I just wanted to entertain you all a bit after boring hours of studying. But I guess it's no longer fun, huh? I'm sorry then. I'll stop now. Thanks for tuning in.
What on earth is he doing? Now the entire sports hall was buzzing.
Is it really you?
Benjamin was about to reply when Mary jumped out.
No, it can't be you. Stop wasting time protecting Sandra. How could you possibly know where her love letters were kept? Or about Dorothy's secret?
So, you tell me, who knew those things then?
Mary looked taken aback and confused. Then Dorothy appeared. It's her. It's her who gave me Sandra's locker key. What? So it really was Mary. I was still hoping that Ben's friend made a mistake somewhere instead, but... Why, Mary? I don't understand.
Of course you don't. You're not in my shoes to judge.
Turns out at first, Mary created the blog for the sole purpose of getting revenge on Louis for being a cheater. He always told Mary that he wanted to date in secret to avoid peering eyes, but it was just an excuse so he could sneak around with other girls. Which is why this was news to both Ben and me.
How about the math teacher? What has he ever done to you? He had no work ethic, so he deserved it. I always studied really hard, but he said that girls like me only ever cared about our appearance. He still thought my good grades were from copying these two. And you, Dorothy, it serves you right for the arrogant habit of bossing newbies around.
Then she blatantly left the crowd as if she had nothing to do with the school drama all this time. I tried to chase after her, but I was stuck amid this angry crowd. There's still something she hasn't explained yet. The following days, Mary still went to school, but all of the other students isolated her. Benjamin and I tried to approach her, but she went out of her way to avoid us. So, after school, we decided to follow her. We saw her going to the cafeteria, but not to buy things, but to help the lunch lady clean up. Mary, stop being like this. You've still got a friend in me, but don't you think I deserve an explanation too? She then finally sat down and talked to us. Mary would have stopped after exposing the 3 people she hated, but when she saw everyone eagerly waiting for the news every Monday, she found it interesting and continued to bring up other embarrassing things. But then, when things started getting serious, she panicked and looked for someone to blame, and that person was me! Because I was the one who first came up with the idea of tracking down this anonymous blogger. Furthermore, she was angry with me for finding out her secret. Envious because I got better grades than her, and jealous because I was closer to Ben than she was. Mary admitted she felt outshined and left out. So, you decided to expose your own secret you kept for so long just to frame me? Do you hate me that much?
No, Sandra, it's not like that. I'm really sorry. As for that secret, I had tried to act like a hot girl from a rich family just to be worthy of that jerk Louis. But since I know he's a bad guy, there's no point of keeping that secret anyway. Ben and I leaned over and hugged her, saying it was all okay. As long as we are honest from now on, we'd be able to sort everything out. After that, we helped Mary clean up the messy tables in the cafeteria. And can you believe it? The lunch lady is actually Mary's mother. She was the one who unintentionally told Mary all the petty secrets that everyone gossiped about while getting lunch. Mary has always hidden the fact her mom's the lunch lady, but after being exposed and boycotted, she gave up and decided not to try hard for the popular girl title anymore, but just to be herself. I knew that this was hard for Mary, but deep down she has a good heart, else she wouldn't have befriended me when I first started at this school. Living up to the expectations of being the school's it girl must have been exhausting. It's been a semester full of drama, hasn't it? Phew, lucky it's almost over. Now we're in a hurry to revise all lessons together to prepare finals week. We still compete with each other a lot, but this time it's fair and square. The 3 of us already decided that whoever gets the lowest score will have to take the other 2 out for dinner. Free food, here I come, as I definitely am not going to lose. I was rushing to finish homework when suddenly a screeching shout startled me. Julia, why did you hide the letter Ben sent me?
What? You've lost your mind, Katie. I already gave it to you. And didn't you say this guy was too ordinary for you?
Why are you such a liar?
This Ben guy tried calming her down, but it was too late. Everyone around us was already whispering. Ugh, I was not to blame for this. Guess what? That girl putting on the poor me act is my sister, Katie. We once were really close, but suddenly, boom, she changed. Now all she does is pick a fight with me. Oh, thank God. Here are my people. My dance club friends. Only dancing could help liven up my mood right now. We were happily chatting on the way to practice when suddenly... Julia, where are you going? Get back to class right now. Finals week is coming. No way. You don't know how Katie just embarrassed me in front of the whole class. I'll never go back there. Stop making excuses. Then he dragged me back to the classroom. That's Max, my overbearing older brother. His catchphrases include, Julia, where are you going? Remember to come back before 9 p.m. You still have lots of homework to do. Or, Julia, come back and change your clothes. The dress you're wearing is too short. You see, I'm 16, not 6. Why does he keep treating me like a child? Worse still, this semester, he decided to move to my school to be able to watch my every step or something. Ugh, it's unbearable. After school, I came home exhausted, but unfortunately, this awful day was not over yet. Dad was there waiting for me, my report card in hand. Julia, there's not even a single B on here. Those dumb equations just wouldn't stick to my head. Dad, I've tried.
Tried, you say? So it has nothing to do with you skipping school to go dancing, huh?
Oh no, in her hand were a bunch of pictures of me practicing. Okay then, it's about time I let my parents know about my passion anyway. I think I want to pursue something else, which is dance.
No, Julia, studying is the only way. I don't care what you do, as long as your grades improve. Please learn from your brother and sister.
Study, 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 study all the time! I angrily stormed upstairs and slammed shut my door. Then I heard my mom's voice whispering outside.
Never mention dancing again, Julia. Give it up. That silly hobby won't do you any good.
What does she know? She isn't even my actual mom. Yes, they're just mine and Max's adoptive parents. I bet if my actual mom and dad were still alive, they'd understand and not forbid me from following my dreams. But life is too cruel, as our parents died 10 years ago in a traffic accident. Then Max and I were in an orphanage until we were adopted and came to live here with our adoptive parents, a biology professor, a housewife, and their daughter, Katie. After a restless night of overthinking, the next morning I trudged through the schoolyard like a zombie. Suddenly, a tall figure crashed into me. Ouch! The guy apologized profusely. Then he told me he hadn't been paying attention as he was too engrossed in a cool video. Oh, this is our club's dance video I posted yesterday. We immediately started chatting. So, his name is Daniel. He's a new transfer student here, but already a big fan of our club. We were watching another video together when his phone screen popped up a message. Hey, are you free tomorrow night? Katie? Oh, that's definitely my sister Katie. Why does she have to appear everywhere? Anyway, after I parted ways with Daniel, I excitedly ran to the practice room to tell my friends about our new hardcore fan. I waved at them, but they just ignored me. Weird. Hey guys, what's wrong?
Don't you know? Julia, yesterday your mom called everyone asking to disband the club. Your mom even blamed me for being a bad influence and distracting you from studying. So please, stay away from us from now on.
What? My mom said that? How did she even know their numbers?
You're welcome, Pumpkin. I've helped you introduce your dear friends to Mom. They seem to get along really well, don't they?
Katie? Again? Why am I even surprised? I stumped after her. Then from afar, I spotted Daniel waving at her as they passed by each other, and she immediately turned on her flirty mode. I suddenly thought up a great idea. Well, just wait and see, my beloved sister. When Katie walked off, I quickly ran over to chat with Daniel, and it didn't take long for me to lure him into my trap. My friends are all going on about the new Jurassic World movie. Have you seen it? I want to watch it too, but I have no one to go with. Is that so? Actually, I was planning on seeing that movie this weekend. Let's go together. Bingo! The fish has taken the bait. Katie, you took away the one thing I love the most, and now watch me do the same to you. That Saturday night, I happily went to the cinema in a pretty dress. No sign of Daniel yet, so I got to my seat first. But...
Julia, what on earth are you doing here?
Oh, Katie, the prey even showed up by herself. Nice. She immediately jumped on me, accusing me of stalking and ruining her date. We argued loudly until a member of staff kicked us out. A few days later, Daniel and I met at a cafe he chose. But right away, I saw Katie at the next table. Again. She seemed to be waiting for someone. I walked over to her. You're so persistent on being a third wheel. She was so angry but couldn't say anything. I went back to the table and sat with Daniel. Huh? What?
There's ketchup all over my dress! That does it! So I lunged at her and we started brawling. And here we are, at the cop station, waiting to be bailed out. As soon as Mom arrived, Katie put on her waterworks hat and sobbed about how I was trying to steal away the love of her life. I couldn't be around either of them anymore, so I left with Daniel. We weren't far from the cop station when Max rushed out from nowhere.
Stay away from my sister! And why would I?
Then my brother punched Daniel in the face. What are you doing? It's Katie. She's the one who keeps messing with us.
No, Julia. Katie is just a victim. Stop seeing this guy.
Great. Now even Max was defending Katie. I helped Daniel up and left with him despite Max's calls from behind. The next day, I was putting things in my locker when I saw Max and Katie passing by, looking real close. They were whispering something to each other, as if his real sister was her, not me. Fine then, if that meant I would stop being supervised. Katie still wouldn't leave me alone though. There were countless times she squeezed between me and Daniel, laughing with him as if I didn't exist. Another time, when we were about to kiss, she jumped out of nowhere, gave Daniel a concert ticket, then the two of them left together. So annoying. Honestly, it's no longer about taking revenge on Katie anymore. I do feel happy when I'm with Daniel. He seemed to want to be with me too, but why didn't he just reject Katie? But at least it was me he invited to the prom this Friday, not her. That night, I excitedly put on my prom dress, curled my hair, did my nails. Everything's all set. Daniel would be here soon. I opened the door to go downstairs when, oh no, it had been locked from outside. My parents were on vacation, so it had to be my cruel siblings. I immediately called my parents, but all I received was, "You shouldn't be even thinking about prom, considering how bad your grades have been lately. Stay home and study." Right at that moment, there was the sound of an engine outside. I ran to the window and saw Katie getting into Daniel's car. I banged on the door and yelled, but only Max's voice came from outside.
Julia, that guy is not good at all. Just leave this to me and Katie.
Why are you on her side and not mine? Why is everyone turning their back on me? I felt like such an outsider in this family, so from then on, I did my best to ignore them all. I passed without a word as Max and Katie gathered around our parents after their trip. Then I stayed silently in my room, ignoring Max's call outside the door. I also tried ignoring Daniel, but he continued calling me. "I think you've got the wrong number. I'm not Katie."
Huh? Julia, what's wrong with you?
Let's see. You left me alone and went to prom with Katie?
Oh, that? I already saw Katie waiting as I arrived. She said you'd already left for prom with your friends. I looked for you everywhere. I was thinking about you the whole party.
Gosh, Katie is taking things too far. Even my poor Daniel has to put up with her stupid tricks.
Baby, what should I do to make you feel better? How about a road trip? Let's spend this weekend together, just us two.
Honestly, all I need is Daniel's sweet voice to make my anger go away. I'd love that. I'm so sick and tired of being in this nightmare house. Being alone with Daniel felt amazing. After 2 hours of driving, we pulled up at a gas station to take a break, and he told me to pick anything I wanted.
This trip is on me. I have to make it up for my princess, don't I?
Oh, how did I get such a wonderful boyfriend? I stuffed my face with snacks as I waited for Daniel to return from the restroom. What's taking him so long? Just as I was going to step outside to look for him, the cashier stopped me.
I'm sorry, miss. You haven't paid for those. Also, your friend left you this.
Then he gave me a bunch of papers. One of them was a note saying,
"Surprise! Take this as your first life lesson, honey. Don't be so gullible. If you're wondering why you deserve all this, go ask your lovely brother Max. Dan."
I stared down at the other papers. Receipts! This came to hundreds. He'd grab all these random things, including 5 boxes of Mountain Dew. Is this for real? How could this guy be the guy I was deeply in love with just seconds ago? I was on the verge of breaking down. But first, I still had this huge bill to pay. Oh God, where do I get the money for all this? Should I call my family for help? No way. I could already hear Max scolding, then my parents nagging, and Katie's scornful look. And so I begged the store owner to let me work here to pay back the bill. It's not so bad. At least I wouldn't have to go home. But only, I kept on messing up. I clogged the slushy machine so the floor was covered in sugared ice. I knocked over the sunglasses stand while cleaning and constantly counted change incorrectly. It was a disaster. Maybe if I'd pay more attention in math, it wouldn't be this bad. I tried everything, but all I did was create more trouble instead of paying back the money. Eventually, they kicked me out. And now all I can do is sit at this abandoned bus stop, not knowing where to go or who to find. Thinking about my life with my family before made me tear up. If only... Suddenly, a familiar car stopped in front of me. Dad!
Julia, here you are. Everyone's been frantically searching for you. I'm so glad you're okay. Why did you scare us like this?
I'm sorry, Dad. Dancing is my only passion, but I knew you wouldn't accept it.
No, Julia. I'd never stop you pursuing what you love. I used to think you were just making up excuses for being lazy.
Right at that moment, another car pulled over. It was Max, my mom, and even Katie.
What on earth are you doing? If you keep acting like this, Mom and Dad will kick us out. Max, why would you think such a thing?
Max let go of me, then hesitantly said,
I know you take education very seriously, so I always try my best at school. Julia and I are just adopted, so...
Actually, I'm adopted too. I've overheard this once from Mom and Dad. So ever since then, I was scared they'd love Julia more than me and throw me out.
Oh, my baby, it's true. We adopted all three of you. This doesn't change a thing. You're our children and we love you all, and only wish for you to care and look out for each other.
Whoa, this was all too much to take in. My emotions were all over the place and I didn't know whether to smile or cry.
Secrets only make us misunderstand one another, so from now on, we won't hide anything, okay?
On that note, I'm sorry, honey. Let me tell you all this one last secret that I've been keeping to myself all these years.
It turned out that my adoptive mom was mine and Max's biological dad's ex. After our parents died, she offered to take us in. Our adoptive dad didn't know the story behind that, and he only knew about an ex of my adoptive mom who was a pro dancer. Mom was so afraid Dad would find out about me and my brother's true identity and be angry, so she tried her best to hide my dance talent. But she never expected her husband to be this generous and understanding. So, all problems were resolved and family peace was restored. Oh boy, I miss home so much. But now is not the time to go back. Us three siblings had one more important task. Expose Daniel. Can you believe that Daniel turned out to be my brother's best friend from his old school? Daniel misunderstood my brother's friendship for love, so when Max rejected him, he felt like a fool and started causing problems for Max. That's why Max transferred schools, but Daniel followed him there. Knowing Max loved his two sisters very much, he deliberately approached us both and played tricks to make us resent each other. After that time at the police station, Max told Katie about this and worked up a plan to expose Daniel. We found Daniel's current partner and invited him to meet them at a diner. Then we told him everything his boyfriend had done. Needless to say, he was so angry he finished with Daniel and exposed his true face to the whole school. Facing a barrage of criticism, Daniel was scared and apologized to the three of us and promised to make up for it. Well, now that I have a happy family, I can freely pursue my dance passion. What else do I need?
Just looking at Daniel being subservient is enough to satisfy me.
Hey everyone, I'm Ellie, and my genius inventions are set to make me the next Thomas Edison. If you want to see more of my one-of-a-kind inventions, please comment and don't forget to like and subscribe to Animated Story Show. My mom passed away when I was little, so since then, it's just been me, Dad, and my older sister Kara. Dad's an independent scientist. Growing up, he was always inventing something and let me help around. Naturally, I developed a passion for inventing from an early age. You're playing Frisbee and you're hungry, but you don't have a plate to eat your food. Has this ever happened to you? No. I present to you the Frisbee food plate. Okay, no Frisbee plate. How about these goggles that help you cut onions without tearing up? Or this cool food hat, perfect for all your TV snack needs. Okay, so maybe they weren't ready for my inventions back then, but at least Kara seemed to like them. Like this alarm clock that only goes off when the puzzle has been solved. She's a doctor, so it's important she gets up on time and keeps her mind alert. I want to do well too. It's my dream to be an inventor just like Dad. So I studied hard and managed to get a scholarship into the most prestigious private school in the state. While I was getting used to my new school, Dad was working hard to make sure I got everything I needed. Everyone loved his inventions, including the Bancrofts. one of the wealthiest families in town. They hired him to design a robot chef system, but due to a system error, it short-circuited and set their mansion on fire. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Dad's reputation was at stake. He had to pay for the damages, which meant we had to sell our home. Still, we didn't have enough money. Just then, a woman, Mrs. Harding, came to see Dad and told him that she'd settle everything on one condition. He had to live in the mansion and work exclusively for her. Dad didn't have much choice, so he agreed and asked for me to tag along too. As for Kara, she received a high-paying job offer to provide round-the-clock care for a coma patient, so she moved into the hospital. So Dad and I started our new venture, only mansion life didn't go so well. As soon as we stepped through the huge doors, Dad was bundled off into the basement to work. And me, I became Mrs. Harding's own personal servant. This was so not cool, so I decided to get sweet revenge. I tinkered with Mrs. Harding's high heels so I could control them with a remote. Only I was busted by Ariana, Mrs. Harding's daughter.
What are you up to?
I'm just...
Oh, I see. Clever. Let me help you. What in the cinnamon toast?
So we watched Mrs. Harding put the heels on, wobbled about, and tumbled over. Mission completed. Nice one, Ellie. That's the funniest thing I've seen all year. So, what's up with you and Mrs. Harding?
Mom's always so strict on me, but Dad is the opposite. Only he's traveling, so Mom's running the Milo Corporation for the time being, and now she's turned into even more of a tyrant.
From then on, Ariana and I became friends and spent our free time pulling funny pranks on Mrs. Harding together. We rearranged her laptop keyboard, messed with her water flosser, and tampered with her bedroom light. I wanted to help Dad with the finances, so at school, I opened up a design-on-demand inventing service for some extra money. Queen, the school queen bee, noticed and made an order with me. High heels that convert to flats will make partying easier. Put me down for a pair in size 7 and make sure they're hot pink. I finished the order, then excitedly gave them to Queen. Only she fell on her butt. You did it on purpose, didn't you? Ugh, I'll make your life a misery. I made them based exactly on your order.
Hey, you got what you ordered, so leave her alone.
Turns out this is Owen, who's also here on a scholarship. Owen's a science guy too, so we clicked instantly. One night, I was serving dinner when I overheard Ariana ask her mom why her dad wasn't back home yet. Ariana, he has flown to India for a spiritual retreat.
Huh? That doesn't sound like something Dad would do.
Yes, well, the spiritual retreat is helpful in running the company. He'll be back soon. Now eat your greens. Ariana seemed very confused still. I knew her pain, as I missed my dad too. Feeling down, I went to see Kara to talk to her about it. But Kara appeared with 2 giant bodyguards. What's with the walking mountains? My patient is very important, so they're here to ensure information security. It's no big deal, sis. Just pretend they're not there. I felt bad that Kara had to work under such extremes for our family, so I was determined to sell more of my inventions. Everyone knows your inventions suck. Quit clogging up the hallway already. We could come up with better inventions. See, straight A's here. Those mean girls who were always ranking last in class now became top students? Pfft, how you achieve those grades doesn't count. Yeah, they definitely didn't earn those A's themselves. And you, that desperate for money, huh? Well, it's a long story. So I told him about my family's misfortune and how lucky I was to have Ariana as a friend, despite her being the daughter of the Milo Corporation owner. She seems cool. Why don't we invite her to the arcade with us? So the 3 of us went there, and Owen quickly acquainted himself with Ariana. It was good they were getting on, but hello, I was still here. When Ariana went to the restroom, I asked Owen, so you like her then? Why? You're not jealous, are you? Jealous? No way. Then Owen suddenly turned serious and told me actually, he's been researching AI. Recently, there were some AI unethical products on the market. Some even took advantage of the face recognition feature to secretly withdraw money from millionaires' bank accounts or stock them. You know, those girls bragged about getting straight A's? Well, they used a cheating device that I suspect came from the Milo Corporation. No way! My dad works for Mila. He wouldn't be behind this. He couldn't.
I don't know, Ellie. All I know is companies that use science and tech irresponsibly are a big bugbear of mine, and I had no intention of flirting with Ariana. I only approached her to do some more digging, and maybe we could sneak into the basement to talk to your dad about it.
It's impossible. It's like Fort Knox. There's a security guard there 24/7. Owen assured me that between us, we'd figure out a way. I was pondering how best to sneak in to see Dad when Ariana pulled me into her room. Owen is cute, isn't he? Will you help matchmake us? Huh? That was quick. If Ariana knew Owen only hung around with her to find out about Mila Corporation, she'd be really hurt. But she was relentless, so in the end, I reluctantly agreed. I set up a date for them, but seeing them together sucked, so I decided to tag along. But anyway, the date turned out helpful. Not sure what sweet talk Owen had been saying to Ariana, but she agreed to help me and Owen sneak into the basement. The next day, Ariana helped distract the basement security guards. We sneaked in and found Dad on the floor, unconscious. I rushed to his side and urged Owen to help me carry him out. Mom's home! Help Owen leave first! When Mrs. Harding saw me helping Dad out, she went berserk.
How dare you remove him from the basement? He has work to do!
I found him passed out! You're overworking him! If you don't let me take him to hospital, I'm suing you for negligence. Mrs. Harding reluctantly gave in and ordered the guards to take us to the hospital. At the hospital, Mrs. Harding kicked me out of the room and insisted on seeing her private doctor. I couldn't believe my eyes when Kara walked in. When Kara finished, she stepped out and told Mrs. Harding, "Mr. Miller's awake. Leave him here and I will care for him alongside the other patient."
No! I pay you to focus your care solely on one patient. Miller will be taken elsewhere to rest.
So it's Mrs. Harding who hired my sister to care for this mysterious coma patient. I ran to talk to Kara, but Mrs. Harding pulled her away. Fine, I would just have to investigate what she was up to myself. The next day I was by my locker when Owen appeared, so I filled him in on what had happened at the hospital.
I took these from the basement. Look, this one has the template for the cheating device Queen and our friends use.
So Mrs. Harding hired my dad to make these unethical inventions for illegal profit. I just didn't think he'd ever do something like this.
The design's just a portable device that could go through metal detectors. Your dad's a righteous scientist. Mrs. Harding must have pressured him into making this. We'll find proof to prove this.
That's right. I have to get my dad out of this.
Don't worry. I'm always here for you. We're in this together.
Oh, I see. So you two are framing my mom?
Ariana, you don't know what's going on.
Oh, I don't? Then tell me, is this why you approached me? No, let me explain, Ari. And you let him use me? Ugh, am I a joke to you two? Then she stormed off. What I feared the most had come true. Ariana was furious with us both and ignored us since then. Then, a few days later, a huge news report broke. Science no match for monk life? Mila's CEO, Harry Harding, moves into monastery and leaves $1 million corporation to his wife, Dazia Harding. I and Owen were so shocked to hear the news. Just then, Ariana came to tell us Mrs. Harding had been acting odd, so she eavesdropped on our call and heard her mention Mr. Harding, then looked very nervous and shady. Ariana knew something was up, so she paid a private investigator to delve in deeper, and turns out her dad never went to India. And now that he's back, he refused to see me and was all surrounded by bodyguards. That's it. We gotta get to the bottom of it. So the next day, Ariana went inside her mom's room. Mom, you've been so distant lately. Can we spend some time together? Just you and me? While the coast was clear, I sneaked into her office and rummaged around. Using my lockpick, I opened her drawer. Inside was a treatment plan with Mr. Harding's name on it. I went to the hospital with Owen and spoke to Kara about the treatment plan. There was nothing unusual going on. Ellie, go home. Feeling defeated, we left, but then we bumped into a doctor.
What is this regimen? It's designed to make the patient's condition worse.
We were shot, but before I could ask him any more about it, I saw Kara get into a luxury car and leave. We jumped into a cab and followed her. The car pulled into this heavily guarded mansion. We knew we couldn't get inside by the front, so we sneaked behind the mansion, climbed over the wall, and shuffled along the side of the building. The door was locked, so Owen kept watch while I used my lockpick to enter. We crept across the kitchen, but I accidentally knocked some pan over and made a thump.
Who's that?
Owen immediately pulled me behind the fridge to hide as the guard shone a flashlight around. Gosh, this tight space made us way too close to each other. I could hear our hearts beating in sync. The guard finally gave up, and we left the room. Suddenly, I spotted Kara turning in the hallway. Follow Kara. I'll stay here and play lookout. As Kara stepped into a room, I saw Mr. Harding lying there. Kara, what's going on? Kara looked surprised seeing me and pulled me to the hall. Ellie, you shouldn't be here. Is that Mr. Harding lying in the room? That's right. Mr. Harding has been in a coma due to an accident during his trip. I was hired by his wife to take care of him. But when he started to recover, Mrs. Harding asked me to put him in a coma for good. I pretended to do as she said, but secretly, I've been helping him. Then who was the man showing up as Ariana's dad before?
What on earth do you think you're doing here? Mansion! Go into lockdown!
Voice verification not recognized.
Surprised, huh? We've reset the system. Now it only responds to me.
Seemed like Mrs. Harding had installed an AI system to control the mansion. Luckily, Owen managed to reset it.
How could you? Look what else I found in your mansion. You trapped Mr. Miller here and forced him to build a robot to impersonate Ariana's dad without telling him the truth.
Dad's also here? And the man showing up as Ariana's dad before was the robot he had created.
Restrain them at once!
Well, I guess it's time to use my flycatcher. I shot Mrs. Harding and the bodyguards in the eyes.
Security! Get them!
Right then, someone showed up on the yard.
I'll distract them with a robot.
Those dumb guards mistook the robot for the real Mr. Harding and ran after it. Let's get out of here.
Mansion! Lockdown!
The 5 of us ran out of there, while Mrs. Harding and those guards were immediately locked inside. As everyone was back at the mansion, Ariana insisted on me taking her to see her mom. Why, Mom? Why did you do this to Dad?
I sacrificed everything for your father, my assets and my youth. Mila is what it is today because of me. Yet to him, I was nothing more than a housewife. After his accident, I saw a means to take back what was rightly mine. If only he ever once listened to me.
Poor Ariana. She doesn't deserve any of this. Our family was finally reunited, and Ariana let us stay in her home until we found somewhere else to live. As for Mr. Harding, thanks to Kara's efforts, he regained consciousness and is on his way to making a full recovery. Kara's a great doctor, and I think Dad is a soft spot for her. I'm cool if they, get together. Yeah, I think so too. By the way, I'm sorry about Owen and you. I already forgot about that. You and him are made for each other. I'm out. Oh, there he is. Go get him, girl. Owen showed up with some flowers, looking all dressed up. Hi, Owen. Why are you here?
You texted me, asking me to pick you up for a date?
I didn't. Ariana!
Well, too bad. I'm here already. So, will you go out with me?
Yes! And with that, he pulled me in for the sweetest kiss ever.
But I like you. You know that. Right at that moment, a girl walked over to them. Babe! Immediately, Nom turned around and pulled her in his arms. Here you are. Then he kissed her on the lips, and Ronnie was frozen in her spot. Who is she? Ah, I forgot. She's Chi, my girlfriend. Hello. What? You're lying! If you have a girlfriend, I must have known! Just want to keep my personal life and work life separate. Cryptic much? Then Nom and his newly announced girlfriend walked off, leaving Veronica behind with a broken heart. But I've liked you first! So my love since I was 14 had withered even before it started to bloom? Turns out I was just fooling myself all this time. That night, Veronica couldn't sleep a wink. It was too painful for her to face the truth, but she couldn't help showing up in Nom's hotel the next day. But little did she expect that since that day, she was everywhere in the hotel and literally clinging to Nom. Oh, bae, sit down here. You've been wandering in my dreams enough. Your legs might get hurt. So you come sit here too. I'm afraid I have a serious vitamin D deficiency, because I was far away from you, my only sunshine for the whole night. And that only made Veronica filling in frustration. And also suspicion. Say I woke up early to cook for you. My bae needs the most organic and fresh food ever in this world. But he's allergic to peanuts! Oops, is it so? You, cheese, right? It's chi, no ending sound. Whatever. What kind of girlfriend are you not knowing your boyfriend's allergy? How reckless. His face would be seriously swollen like a chipmunk eating that. There must be something off between them. Hey, how did you guys meet?
We met in Delat.
Right, on a business trip, Thursday, September 21st, last year. It doesn't need to be that detailed, does it? The next day, Nam's hotel was throwing a small party within the staff. It was fun, but seeing the lovey-dovey couple was only a bug in the eye to Veronica. So she left for some fresh air, and when returning to the main hall, Veronica overheard Chi talking on the phone with somebody. I got what you want, bae. You're right. This guy Nam has nothing besides being rich. What? So she just used Nam for money? What a snake! Veronica was about to jump to confront her, but she'd gone away, so she immediately came to find Nam and was excited to expose his so-called girlfriend's real face. But instead, he went blast on her.
You stop your nonsense already! She's a good-natured girl, not some spoiled young lady who insists on having anything she wants.
Are you implying I am that spoiled young lady?
Your words, not mine.
You've gone too far, Nam. I like you, but it doesn't mean you can talk rubbish about me. Okay, fine. I'd leave you alone.
And with that, Veronica ran away, tears streaming down her cheeks.
This is what he's been thinking of me? I've known him for ages, but now he treated me like a thorn in his eye, and even thought ill of me just because of some random girl?
Right then, Chi approached Nam.
Is there something wrong?
Nothing. Anyway, thank you for your cooperation. Seems like she's not gonna be messing anymore.
You're welcome.
And also deliver my thanks to him. His idea is top-notch. Then Nam left, but he wasn't sure he's happy with what just happened. Was I too harsh on her? Early the next morning, Veronica was woken by a knock.
What are you doing here? I remember not making any troubles to you since last night.
Today I will have a trip to Hoi An to build a customized tour for our hotel's customers. Wanna join?
No, I don't want to bother you.
If so, what a pity. I just happen to know a good bang me Hoi An, but you don't want to go. It's okay.
Huh? Why didn't you say it sooner? I've always wanted a bite on Hoi An Bang Mai. Sign me in.
By the way, it's bang me, not bang my.
Okay, bang me.
Yeah, that's it. Later, when they arrived in Hoi An, Ronnie was mesmerized by the medieval grace of this ancient town. The streets of gold and yellow houses were blooming in colorful paper flowers along with vibrant lanterns. Wandering around the town, Ronnie felt a surge of excitement and nostalgia about her country of birth that she parted since she was small.
Aw, this is cute. And here! Ronnie, now we look like twins. Let's take a picture together. Twin my butt? Oh, I almost forgot the real reason I'm going here.
But they came to the Bang Me store to see it was jammed with people queuing. That didn't make Ronnie waver a bit, as the mouth-watering Bang Me was the only thing in her mind now. She had been patiently waiting for her turn for almost 30 minutes. But right then there was a girl with little puppy eyes looking up to her. Ronnie looked at her, then her newly baked Bang Me on her hands, and after a few seconds of hesitation, she gave it to the little girl.
Hey kid, it's now yours.
Huh? What's she doing? Hasn't she been longing for it all this time? Got bored already?
Poof! I just don't want those kids to wait under this scorching heat.
Okay. Go eat under that tree. I'll get you another one. You want some?
Nah, I've eaten enough. Nam's buying bread for me. So sweet.
His kind offer made her heart dance like crazy. Not knowing from afar, she was glaring at her with bullet eyes. Ronnie was happily devouring her bread when she noticed an old woman with the bamboo yoke selling something strange.
What's this?
Bang Nhạc Do.
Buy it. Yummy, yummy.
It's Vietnamese dragon beard candy.
Candy? So those threads are edible? Buy it for me, Nam.
Bae, only kids like this. But Nam still agreed to get some for Ronnie. She was excited about the strange snacks, maybe too excited that she blew the powder so hard, accidentally getting it all over Chi's face.
What? How dare you? Oops, I'm so sorry, but you look like Snow White. Just a bit of a variation.
Are you okay?
Oh, I'm okay. Super okay. No big deal, sis. Do I look okay to you? I think she's not some kind of sweet girl she seems to be. Just wait and see. I'm gonna expose you. And you know what? If Nam wasn't here, today would be your end.
Later that night, Chi secretly went outside to meet someone. How shameless she is! The audacity of her acting flirty with someone having a girlfriend? I'm afraid she would mess up our plan, hun. If so, we'd better hurry up.
I know what to do.
The next morning, seeing no one around, Chi snuck into Nam's office and rummaged everywhere. Gosh, this clean freak! Where would he keep the documents?
Then a mysterious drawer in the shelf caught her eyes. She was about to crack it when Nom's assistant walked in. Hey, what are you doing here? It's not a place you can easily walk in like this. Then do you know who I am to speak disrespectfully like this? I'm your boss's girlfriend, so I can go to his office whenever I want. You guys, stop! Miss Mai, you can retreat now. When the assistant left, Nom looked around his office, now turned upside down for some reason. Gee, can you tell me what you're doing in my office? Nothing. I'm just looking for my purse here. And you've just embarrassed me in front of your employee while you're supposed to protect me. Then a big falling out broke between them, and right at the time, Veronica was passing by and heard their lousy arguments.
Ooh, what's this? I said it right. Everyone knows they're not for each other just by looking. See? They're already beefing each other fiercely even before I lay a finger.
Then I had to remind you that you're just my fake girlfriend. Please know the boundary here.
Fine, your fake girlfriend will go. Let me see how you deal with your tail. Isn't the purpose of hiring me to chase off Miss Annoying Veronica? Mind your words. You need me more than you think, sweetie.
Veronica was shattered into pieces with the information she just got.
So nothing's going on between them for real, but Nom hates me this much to even hire a nobody to be his girlfriend? Just to get away from me? What did I do wrong?
That night, Ronnie was crying to sleep with an aching heart. Days after, she locked herself in a room and buried in blankets with the haunting thoughts she couldn't brush off. Nom texted to ask about Ronnie, but now she didn't want anything to do with him. It was not until Grayson knocked the door that Veronica sluggishly got up. Ronnie, are you okay?
I'm fine. Just leave me alone.
What do you mean, fine? Look, your eyes are swollen like golf balls. Nom asked me about you. Hey, are you two fighting?
Just go! Ask about me? Drop it. I'd better not trouble Nom no more. Guess I'll go back to the States now.
As saying, she immediately packed all her stuff and booked the flight at night back to home. On the way, she saw a familiar figure.
Chi? What is she doing here at our house at this time? Bae, I'm here, and I brought you the thing you asked me to find in Nom's office. It surely could help our plan.
Sensing something off, Ronnie followed her to a dark alley, where Chi set up a meeting with her mysterious partner. See what you got, my sweet pie? Veronica couldn't believe her eyes. Her brother and her crush's fake girlfriend were hooking up?
What the heck happened here? You and her?
Grayson and Chi looked stunned. Why are you here?
It is as important as what I'm seeing right now. Better have a good explanation for this.
They exchanged their looks, and Grayson finally gave in, telling everything to his sister. Okay, Ronnie, listen carefully. It's me who suggested Nom to have Chi as his fake girlfriend. Actually...
What? But you two?
Yes, she's my baby girl and he has no idea.
But what for? For his master plan, sis?
It's time you know the truth. You still remember why we're in Vietnam, right? Our resort is having a hard time, and it's all because of Nom. This resort once belonged to his family, but their poor business skills only plunged this lucrative business into chaos. And when our family revived the resort, he got jealous and did everything to put it down again. This little ungrateful brat.
No! Nom isn't that person!
Don't defend him. Don't you see when our family had a scandal? His hotel was suddenly doing better than normal? No way I let that slide easily.
It proves nothing. You cannot accuse someone without any evidence.
Fine, you want evidence? I'll find it for you. Meanwhile, if you can't be helpful, then don't sabotage my plan.
Deal! I'll leave you 1 week, and during that time, you're not gonna do anything dirty against Nom as well.
The siblings set themselves on a different side on this manner. Grayson was leaving with his girlfriend, while Ronnie was standing here, trying to process everything. It had been such a hard time full of news and truths to her.
Yes, the Nom I know would never do such a thing, and I will stay here to prove that my brother has been wrong about him. I hope so.
Bae, don't you really let this slide just because your sister said some stupid words, do you? No way, Bae. You know how stubborn my sis is. I only agree so that she could leave us alone. The plan sticks, Bae. The next morning, Veronica went back to work at Nom's hotel as if nothing happened. Oh, you're here? I thought I forced you too much that you dropped already.
No, I'm fine. Who do you think I am? Considering me a bug, and now he even thought I'm a quick quitter? Full combo, huh?
Right then, Chi suddenly appeared, then threw her arms around Nom's neck and kissed him on his cheeks.
Hi, Bae. What can I help you with today? Oh, hi, Ronnie. Long time no see.
Seeing Chi acting shamelessly loving around Nom in front of Ronnie when she knew all the truth even irked her more.
Can't underestimate this snake. What is she scheming? I'd better watch out on her.
Later that day, while working near the kitchen, Veronica spotted Chi doing something fishy.
Hey guys, Milo here. Again. I'm going to share with you the final part of my awesome story, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. For those of you who are struggling to keep up, in the second part, I decided to make a move with Vanessa, despite knowing that she's the little sister of my horrible ex. And also, she was dating this thug, Kane. The only thing that matters is that she had feelings for me too. So I convinced Vanessa to dress sloppily so Kane would end it with her. Of course, my genius plan worked. Then we started dating officially. But I didn't want Vanessa to find out the truth about my past relationship with her sister. So I made up some ridiculous story to her about how I wasn't ready to face seeing her beloved sis yet, as she was the mean girl that had made my life a living hell back in middle school. Anyway, Kane found out about Deanna being my ex, and now he's threatening to tell Vanessa everything unless I set him up on a date with my sister Kayla. I know, complicated, huh? I swear my life is just one big soap opera. Anyway, tuck luff, sis. Seems like you have a date with creepy Kane this Saturday. Okay, so the fact she already has a boyfriend makes things somewhat complicated. I guess there was only one thing for it. I just have to trick her into going on the date. So, Kayla loves singing. I mean, she's tone deaf, but she thinks she's Katy Perry or something. So I figured that the most logical way to trick her into meeting Kane was to come up with some story about a talent agent being interested in her. I told her that I had a friend who knew a talent agent, and this agent would just love to have dinner with her on Saturday and talk about her career. At first, she raised her eyebrow and said, as if. So I let out a long sigh, then replied, as much as it pains me to admit that you have talent, well, you do, so meet the agent, or don't, as if I care. I shrugged, then I walked off. I hadn't got far when she shouted after me, yeah, okay, I'll be there. Result: I knew that my sister wouldn't be able to resist the prospect of getting one up on me. It's a shame for her that this would never happen. Of course, I wasn't a complete jerk. Kane's a volatile idiot, so the least I could do was secretly follow her to make sure she was safe. I sat in the restaurant in my sunglasses, stick-on mustache, and baseball cap. Talk about the master of disguise. I should open up a spy business. Kayla was far too busy droning on about herself to notice me. She didn't seem to recognize Kane as being Vanessa's ex either. Probably because he'd actually washed his hair. And was that aftershave I could smell? I overheard her say to him, so do you really think I can make it as a singer? Kane looked confused, but he just shrugged and said, yeah, sure. Even though she wouldn't quit going on about her singing, he still continued to flirt with her. Lame things like he told her she looked pretty and stroked her arm. Ugh. At one point, Kayla started singing. Kane looked dumbfounded, and the waiter walking past actually covered his ears. It was so funny, even I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then she must have had a light bulb moment about who he was, as she gave him a scrutinizing look, stood up, then said, wait a minute, yeah, excuse me? I need the bathroom. As she stormed across the room, I knew she was bailing. Oh no, if she did that, then Kane would tell Vanessa everything, and my life would be over. So I hurried after her and shouted her name. At first, she gave me a weird look, so I removed my sunglasses and fake mustache. She looked pretty mad. But I knew that I had to tell her all about how Kane was blackmailing me. I even managed to fake some tears. At first, she seemed furious and she shouted at me. A lot. But then she seemed to calm down and she smirked. Uh-oh. That smirk. Didn't look good. She told me, okay, I'll go back inside, but this means you have to do everything I say. All month. I didn't like the sound of this, but I had little choice. So I agreed. She went back inside and the date seemed to go well. The problem was now I didn't have to worry about Kane. Instead, I had to worry about my sister. Why do these situations happen to me? Has karma for messing with all those couples come back to bite me? I had to do all Kayla's chores, including staying home every weekend to babysit the kid next door. Ugh. Then I also had to message her actual boyfriend and apologize for the Valentine's prank I played on him. A reminder for you, it involved my super speed and a whole lot of duct tape. Things got weirder though, as Kane seemed totally smitten with my sister. He sent her flowers, then he sent her a giant teddy bear. And he even messaged me saying he wanted to assure me he would never hurt her. Okay, this was weird. It seems my sister had made the once thug-like Kane turn soft. Thing is, she binned his flowers, gave the teddy to the neighbor's kid, and well, made it clear she didn't like him. Wow, love can really mess someone up. Even someone like Kane. I guess he liked her coldness toward him. I suppose it's far more of a challenge than being with someone all kind and sweet like Vanessa. Kayla had started selling home-baked goods, cookies and things. They were tough, burned, and gross, but people seemed to buy them. So guess who she roped into playing delivery driver? Talk about lame. What made it even worse was I had a date with Vanessa one day. But no, now I had to deliver inedible biscuits. Being the smart guy I am, I found a way to get around this. So I picked Vanessa up from the library, then went off to make the deliveries. The plan was to drop them off as quickly as possible, then Vanessa and I could have date night. Vanessa didn't mind. In fact, she thought it was sweet that I was helping Kayla out. Ha! We got to the delivery address, and it was a nail salon. I left Vanessa in the car and rushed inside. Then I saw who the customer was, and oh my God. There standing in front of me was Deanna. Talk about a shocker. I was so surprised that I actually dropped the delivery. I muttered out something about how my sister would reimburse her. Then I went to leave. She grabbed my arm and said she wanted to apologize to me properly for cheating on me. Now was not the time for this. Talk about awkward. I tried to yank my arm away, but she kept clinging to me. Then Vanessa suddenly walked in. I guess she must have seen us through the shop window. She yelled out, "Deanna, what are you doing? Let him go! Stop being so mean! I didn't want to believe that you ever teased him back in middle school, but here's the proof!" Deanna looked confused as she replied, "What are you doing here? And what do you mean tease?" They yelled back and forth in confusion for a while until Deanna blurted out, "He's my ex-boyfriend!" Cue two furious women staring at me in anger, asking for an explanation. Now would be the perfect time for a UFO to come and abduct me, but no such luck. I had some explaining to do, so we went to the coffee shop next door, and I confessed that Deanna was actually my ex. But I only found out about it after dating Vanessa, so I lied because I didn't know how to handle that awkward situation. I begged them for forgiveness. I was so scared. I was basically staring down at the table the whole time. But then suddenly, I heard giggles. Deanna started to laugh and said, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Oh my, Milo. Vanessa joined in. Okay, that makes sense, since he's the one who also came up with the ridiculous plan for me to break up with my ex by playing ugly. He really has a unique sense of solving problems. Okay, so I never thought they'd find any of this funny, but at least they're not mad at me. So in the end, I got a proper apology from Deanna. We're cool now, and I can freely date Vanessa too. Turns out life is far simpler when you don't end up in a web of lies. As for Kane, well, he doesn't bother Vanessa anymore. Instead, he's still pining after my sister. I actually think he might have a chance with her, as she broke up with her boyfriend because that dude has been constantly bailing on her to hang out with his friends. Even though I've seen a different side to Kane, I don't know how I'd feel about having him as my actual brother-in-law one day. But yeah, I got the girl, so everything turned out pretty great. As for pranks, well, I can't rule out never doing the odd one or two in the future, but I promise to never mess with loved-up couples again. I've learned my lesson on that one.
Hey, Daisy here. I'm just your normal 19-year-old college girl living away from home for the first time, and can't deny that it could get lonely sometimes, and I felt homesick a lot. But it's okay though, as I have Lucas, my loving boyfriend. Okay, yeah, his family is well off, so he always treats me to nice places and buys me nice gifts. A few months ago, he told me to move in with him in his family's mansion, and I've agreed. But don't get me wrong, I'm not a gold digger at all. I just had no other choice. It all started one night when thieves broke into my apartment while I was asleep. It was terrifying. I knew they were ransacking my living room and stealing my TV and laptop, but I'd rather stay put to protect myself. After that, I didn't want to be home alone at all anymore. Lucas, too, was worried for me, so one evening he told me, "Daisy, I think you should come live with me, at least until you find a roommate." Wow, I wasn't expecting that, but I guess it made sense. I felt a bit awkward about it, though, as I've only been to his house, or should I say his parents' mansion, a few times. And although there was plenty of space, and his parents adored me, but I didn't want to feel like I was intruding. Sensing my apprehension, he continued, "I've explained the situation to my parents, and they're cool with it." I smiled at him and replied, "Well, okay then, but it will just be temporary." Before I moved in with Lucas and his family, I felt very anxious. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to adapt to their lifestyle, and I didn't want to upset his parents. I worried a lot, but not once did I think my trouble would be with the maid. Yep, you heard me right. On my first day at the mansion, a cheerful woman immediately ran towards me and greeted me. Mrs. Harris introduced her to me. "This is our maid, Sarah. She's been with us for years, so if you have any problem, just ask her. We're all family here. Make yourself comfortable." Then Sarah quickly grabbed my suitcase and smiled at me. "Miss, let me help you with that. I'll show you to the room." It was so strange having someone else do stuff for me like this. I could just smile back and follow her upstairs. That made me feel so welcomed here, and how nice this maid was. Maybe we could be friends. But suddenly, a thump cuts off my thoughts. It was Sarah. She'd thrown my suitcase to the floor, then said, "What on earth do you have in there? Carry it yourself. Your room is down the hallway to the left." And she walked off. What was that? Did I do something wrong? I quickly picked up my stuff in confusion. I didn't want to make an enemy of anyone here, especially not on my first day. So after I unpacked my stuff, I went down to the kitchen to help her prepare dinner. She was still so grumpy at me and told me to just get lost as I'd only be in her way. I remained persistent as I really wanted to resolve whatever her misunderstandings about me were. Eventually she gave in and said, "Fine, you want to help? Go dice up all of those onions." "Yes, sure, but all of these?" I asked her while staring at a basket full of onions. "Are you going to help me or not?" she said sharply. I replied, Okay, don't worry, I'll do it." I tried starting up a convo with her, but she just rolled her eyes at me. Meanwhile, the onions were giving me hell. My eyes were burning and tears were streaming out. Ouch! When I finally finished, she stared at my swollen eyes and said, "If you're that upset about living here, you could just leave." "It's the onions," I told her. She smirked as she took them off me, then walked straight to the trash and threw them away, saying, "You took too long. I didn't need it anymore." What? My face dropped, but I was far too exhausted to argue with her anyway. That's when Lucas and his parents came down for dinner. Sarah quickly set up the tables, then called me over with a bright smile as she pulled out a chair for me. "Miss Campbell, please take a seat. Dinner is ready." Was she for real? I couldn't keep up with her constant change in personality. After dinner, I approached Sarah while she was doing the dishes. "Look, I'm sorry, but did I do something to upset you?" "Yes, you sure did. You waltz around like you own the place, but you're nothing more than a parasite. And I won't let you worm your way into my home." Before I had time to process her words, she grabbed an expensive-looking marble plate and smirked at me as she dropped it onto the ground. Then, with a piece of broken plate, she quickly slit her hand and yelled out loud, "Miss, I'm so sorry for vexing you, but you shouldn't have broken this. It's Mr. Harris's favorite plate." Hearing the crashing sound, everyone quickly gathered in the kitchen and stared at me for answers. I immediately explained, "No, it's not like that." But Mrs. Harris said, "It's okay. Let's help Sarah first." Then she led her off to get the first aid kit. I grabbed Lucas's arm. "Babe, I really didn't do that." He reassured me with a smile. "Daisy, don't worry about it." "You don't understand. Sarah did it on purpose and blamed me." He laughed as if he'd just heard something ridiculous, then said, "No way. I bet it was just some sort of misunderstanding. Sarah is really nice. Don't worry, you two will get close in no time. Now let me clean up this mess. You go and relax." I felt frustrated and fed up, but I reluctantly went back to my room. This girl was definitely onto me. But for what reason? Over the following weeks, her vendetta against me continued. She washed my white clothes with colored ones, then intentionally threw away my stuff and made out she mistook it for trash while cleaning my room. She put extra hot chili flakes in my food, then rushed over with a glass of water when I started to choke, and so on. Worse still, Lucas and his parents wouldn't hear a bad word said against her. They were completely oblivious to how crazy she was. I didn't understand why she hated me so much. Was she jealous of me or something? All right then. If she wanted to play with me, then game on. So I decided to spy on her to catch her red-handed and show everyone her true self. My chance to expose her finally arrived. I was passing her room and I saw her holding a watch. I recognized it. It was Mr. Harris's. She looked shifty as she placed it into her drawer and hid it underneath some of her clothes. Aha! Got her. I quickly ran to the garden to find Mrs. Harris and managed to persuade her to come with me to Sarah's room. Sarah stood by looking all innocent as Mrs. Harris checked her drawer, but the watch wasn't there, and instead we found it still intact on the vanity in the master bedroom. Huh? At that moment, Sarah suddenly bawled out, "Ma'am, I would never steal from you. You know that. I've gone out of my way to please Miss Campbell here, but she's intent on making my life a misery." Oh my God. Those crocodile tears! Did she have no shame? I tried explaining myself to Mrs. Harris, but she held up her hand and told me she didn't want to hear it. I wanted to make amends, so the next morning, I prepared Mrs. Harris's favorite smoothie and breakfast for her. I set it up nicely on the dining table, then went upstairs to get her, smirking at Sarah as she passed by. Mrs. Harris seemed happy with the gesture, but just an hour later, she said she didn't feel well. She was clutching her stomach as she glared at me and blamed me for poisoning her food. What? How frustrating! And Lucas wasn't even home for me to talk to. So I went to the kitchen to check the expiration date of everything I'd used. But I swear it was all fresh. I even went through the trash to check the used milk carton. That's when I saw some sesame seeds in there. That's odd, as I knew Mrs. Harris was allergic to them, so we never had them in the house. It had to be Sarah. She must have poisoned the breakfast with them when I was out of the room. Later that day, Mrs. Harris was feeling better, so I went to see her and told her that I was leaving, on one condition. Then I persuaded her to come into my room and hide in my closet. By this point, I think she was willing to do anything just to get me out of her house. Then I called Sarah over to help me pack up my stuff. She stepped into my room with a cocky smile and knocked over the box of my stuff, then said, "I was always going to win." I replied, "Fine, you win. But before I leave, I want to ask you something. You put sesame seeds in the breakfast I made for Mrs. Harris, didn't you?" Sarah looked around to check no one else was about before she grinned at me and said, "Yes, it was me, all me. While you were sucking up to Mrs. Harris, I ground some up and mixed them into the disgusting smoothie you made. Oh, I also pretended to steal the watch because I knew you were spying on me. Geez, you made it so easy." "But why?" I asked. "But why?" She imitated my voice. "Because this is my family. I've lived here for years. You can't just show up all pretty and carefree and expect to have everything and push me out of my own home. I never wanted to push you out. All I wanted was to be your friend." As if. This is my gold mine, not yours. Sooner or later, all of this will be mine, and God knows I deserve it. I've put up with this annoying family and a poor salary for years. Mr. Harris always dreamed of having a daughter, but no. He's stuck with that dumb son of his. It's only a matter of time until he realizes I can be the daughter he longed for. Or, now that you won't be around, it'll be easy for me to trap Lucas by having his baby. Either way, the winner is always me. Suddenly, the wardrobe doors burst open and out emerged Mrs. Harris looking furious. She pulled Sarah's hair and dragged her out of the room. Wow, who knew the mild-mannered Mrs. Harris could be so kick-ass? I guess everyone has a hidden side. Anyway, this proved my innocence, and Sarah was kicked out right on the spot. Then Mrs. Harris apologized to me and insisted that I should keep staying with them. I thanked her for the offer, but politely declined. As I felt ready to leave and move in with my friend, I was just relieved that she'd learned the truth and that Sarah had gone once and for all. So, Lucas and I are still together and are very happy. Yes, it was annoying he didn't believe me at first, but he's such a sweet and trusting guy that he'd never expect someone could be capable of such horrible things. But hey, that's just one of the many reasons why I love him. As for his parents, well, I still visit them sometimes. I even cook for them now and then, but thankfully, there have been no more sesame seed incidents, and there's no more crazy maid to contend with. Phew!
I was sitting on the couch watching a movie with my mom and dad, when suddenly the door slammed shut and we all turned our heads to see what happened. Yep, that's my big sister Taylor making an entrance. She slumped down on the couch and banged her feet on the coffee table. Then, as she scrolled through her phone, she looked up at us and huffed out, why are you all gawping at me like I'm an animal in a zoo? Am I not welcome here? Flustered, my mom immediately replied, No, sweetie, we're all delighted to have you home. Then she turned to me. Anne, darling, go and get your sister a drink. I jumped up to my feet and did as Mom asked. I know what you're thinking. Why is everyone letting Taylor get away with her Little Miss Rude routine? You see, after a huge argument with Mom, she left home at 18 and didn't come back for 7 whole years. Mom seemed so pleased to have her back, so I decided to ignore Taylor's attitude and just go along with it. That afternoon, Mom asked me to go to the grocery store with her so we could buy Taylor her favorite foods, as well as a welcome back gesture. Then we spent ages preparing this delicious meal. I excitedly rushed up to Taylor's room and knocked on the door. Taylor, dinner's ready! She shouted back, Go away! But it's hamburgers, and we got a special dessert, I replied. Poof! I hate hamburgers, and there's no way I'm eating some sugar-laden dessert. I went downstairs and told Mom that she wasn't coming. Mom shrugged and tried to act like it was no big deal, but I could see the sadness in her eyes. Dad tried reassuring her by saying, She probably just needs time to settle in. Yeah, she's probably just tired, I added. Mom forced out a smile and thanked us both. Then she prepared a plate of food and asked me to bring it to Taylor. I knocked on her door and told her the food was outside. She shouted back at me, Take it away! I don't want it! I left it outside of her room, but later on when Mom went up to bed, she saw the untouched plate of food still there. She picked it up and she took it downstairs and made out like it was no big deal. She wasn't fooling me. I could tell that she was biting on her gum to stop the tears. When I was little, I idolized my feisty, beautiful older sister. I loved how she wore clashing colors, the cool ways in which she styled her hair, and her carefree nature. The problem was that she didn't seem to like me. All she ever did was call me a brat, slam her bedroom door in my face, and tell me to stay away from her. 7 years on, and I thought things would be different. She wasn't a teenager anymore. She was an adult. But nope. It seemed clear that Taylor hated me even more than ever. I don't know why. Didn't she view me as a proper sister because we had different dads? You see, my dad isn't her dad, as her dad left when she was a little girl. Then Mom met my dad and had me. I don't know. I just couldn't figure out why she still disliked me so much. As the weeks went on, Taylor didn't seem to settle in at all. Instead, her behavior worsened. She played loud music until the early hours of the morning. She covered the house in her clothes, plates, cups, etc. She was the messiest person ever, and never cleaned up after herself. One time, I came downstairs to see her sitting at the dinner table, munching on the sandwiches I'd made for school. Then, when I politely told her this, she snorted and said, "They're gross anyway, so I'm doing you a favor." Then she took Mom's car without asking her, and that meant she had to get the bus to work and ended up late. When Mom talked to her about it, Taylor just smirked, threw the keys at her, said, "You're out of gas," then walked off. Mom tried to keep calm and distracted herself by tidying up. So I tried hugging her, but she shrugged me off and told me to go away. It felt like Taylor could get away with everything, while I was the one getting snapped at for nothing. Still, Taylor must have been through a lot, right? Maybe she just needed some time to reconnect with Mom again. Then peace would be restored to our household. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, they did. I was reading in the living room when I heard voices coming from outside. I went to check it out and saw Mom and Dad talking to our new neighbor. They sure looked friendly. Then Taylor appeared and grinning said, "Making friends with the neighbor, are you, Mom?" Mom flustered out, "Taylor, this is Bill, my old classmate and our new neighbor. Isn't it a small world? So, you're Mom's age? Whoa, you don't look like it. Hang on, didn't you say you had a crush on some Bill? I see why. It's just a shame you rushed into remarrying, isn't it? Mom and Bill gave awkward looks, while Dad was gritting his teeth. Uh-oh, he didn't look happy. Lovely to see you, Bill. Mom muttered out before she pulled Dad and Taylor inside. Behind closed doors, she frowned at Taylor, but she just shrugged and left. This must have been playing on Dad's mind, as that evening I overheard him question Mom. Why did you never mention this Bill before? Honey, it was just a slight crush when I was a teenager. You know how it is. Yeah, sure. Dad scratched his head. Now I was stuck in the middle of all this tension, and it was all down to Taylor stirring the pot again. Then a couple of days later, Dad came home from work and immediately started freaking out. The bank called. Apparently I spent an obscene amount of money in a watch store. Was it you? Mom shook her head. I didn't know anything either. Then Taylor piped in. Speaking of buying stuff, we do need to get something for Bill's birthday. I mean, he did invite all of us, so it'd be rude not to. Uh-oh. I know Mom hadn't got round to telling Dad that Bill had invited the whole family to his party yet. Dad gave Mom a skeptical look and snarled, Oh, I see. You used my money to buy your high school sweetheart an expensive watch? Listen to yourself! You're being ridiculous! I'm not going to stand around and listen to you accuse me like this! Then Mom stormed off. I really wanted to tell them how this morning I'd seen Taylor lingering in their room, looking suspicious. But how could I bring this up when the atmosphere was so intense? I decided I needed to confront the source of the problem, Taylor. When it was just the two of us, I said to her, I know it was you. I saw you snooping around Mom's stuff. She just shrugged and replied, Little Anne, seems you're smarter than you look. Yeah, I did it. So what? Why are you being so cruel? Mom and Dad might split up because of you. To my shock, she grinned and she said, Well, that is my plan. Why should you get to play happy families when I'm stuck here without my dad? What? How could she be so selfish? I couldn't hold back my frustration anymore. How can you do this to Mom? I won't let you get away with this. Is that so? And what exactly is a quiet mouse like you gonna do about it? Then she shoved past me and walked off. I know I needed to tell Mom, but this meant breaking her heart. I was going to do it. I just needed to find a gentle way of telling her that her beloved daughter got a buzz out of ruining her life. But then, before I had a chance to figure this out, something terrible happened. The next day, I arrived home from school to find Mom and Dad in the kitchen. Dad had his arms folded and a stern look on his face, and Mom was in tears as she sadly peered down at some papers on the table in front of her. Divorce forms. What happened? Anne, you have to believe me. I didn't cheat on your father. Then Dad interrupted her. Stop lying. I can see it with my own eyes. Then he slammed a stack of photos onto the table. In the photos, Mom was kissing Bill in a cafe. Huh? This didn't make any sense. I don't understand. I didn't meet Bill yesterday. I met my friend Sandra. But Dad just got even more furious. Then he pulled his suitcase towards the door. Stop lying. I can see what happened clear as day. I can't trust you anymore. Then he left. Mom cried harder after that. I didn't know what to say or react. I wanted to believe Mom, but those photos told me differently. Suddenly, the door opened and Taylor strolled in, looked at Mom crying her heart out, and gave a delighted smirk, then went upstairs. That's right, Taylor! She must have something to do with this. So I kept an eye on her. As I passed her room, I heard her on the phone. And without a second thought, I went to find Mom and dragged her upstairs. Anyway, I owe you this time, dude. Yeah, those photos did the job. Yeah, thanks. Your Photoshop skills are brilliant. They look so real. My mom froze. A second later, she pushed the door open. Then Mom looked at Taylor and mouthed the word, "Why?" Taylor burst out laughing, shrugged, then replied, "It's payback for loving her." She pointed at me. "More than you love me. I want you all to suffer for living happily together. Why does she have you both, while I have nothing?" Furious, Mom slapped Taylor across the face and shouted out, "I'm ashamed of you, and I want you to leave right now." Taylor clutched her face and snarled back, "With pleasure. I hate it here anyway." Then she stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind her. I hugged Mom, and we both started crying. My happy family had been destroyed, and all because my sister was jealous and thought Mom loved me more. It was all so crazy. Then, later that evening, Mom received a call from the hospital. Mom's face dropped when she told me that Taylor had been in a car crash. We rushed to the hospital, and the doctor told us Taylor needed emergency surgery. But as she'd lost lots of blood, she needed a blood donation. The problem is that she had a rare blood type, but luckily, Mom had the same. So without any hesitation, Mom told the doctor to take as much blood as Taylor needed just to save her. After the blood donation, Mom didn't recover as fast as expected. Instead, she turned weak and needed medical care. So now, Taylor was in the surgery room, and Mom was in the intensive care unit. This was terrifying. What if I lost them both? I called Dad and spilled out everything that had happened to him, and he immediately rushed to the hospital. The wait was agonizing, but when the doctor came and told me they were both going to be okay, and I could go and see Taylor, I cried with happiness. Seeing her lying there bruised and afraid, I saw a vulnerable side to her that I hadn't seen before. So I took her hand and told her what Mom did for her. She looked embarrassed and turned away from me and muttered out how sorry she was for everything. After that, I visited them both every day. Dad came to the hospital too to check they were okay, but he waited outside of Mom's room as he knew she was still mad at him. Finally, Mom came home. Then a week later, Taylor was also discharged. We went to pick her up, and even though Mom and her didn't talk, I could feel the warmth between them. That night, we were having a cozy dinner. Taylor coughed to clear her voice, then said, "Guys, I want to say something. I know I've been a total brat, and I'm sorry. Mom, I thought you didn't love me because I was a reminder of your previous life, and I was ruining your new, happy family vibes. But now I realize how sacred the mother-daughter bond is. You never left me out. I left myself out. And Anne, I'm sorry I haven't been the big sis I should have been for you. I was jealous of you, but I was wrong to be that way. I hope you can both forgive me." Dad also apologized to Mom for misunderstanding her. We were all blubbering, and then we all hugged each other. We didn't need to say anything. Our actions were enough. We were family, and we loved each other. Families aren't always straightforward, but family is family, through the good times and the bad. And they're always worth fighting for, regardless of how out-of-this-world annoying they can be at times. Trust me, I know all about it.
Finally, I'm out of that morbid place. Now let me tell you, sharing a cell with a dozen other noisy, stinky, grumpy dudes ain't fun. Anyway, here I am, free as a bird now. So no one's here to pick me up. Suppose I'd have to call Mom. It took me a few seconds to familiarize myself with my phone. Jeez, it'd been 4 years. It was a miracle I hadn't turned into one of those leg-cradling crazy dudes. How I ended up in there in the first place was a joke. All I did was take some stuff from 1 or 2 warehouses and sell them on. No big deal. Yo, Mom, it's your boy Cole. I'm out, and yeah, I need a lift home. I spoke the moment I heard Mom's voice. Cole, Do you have any idea what hell your actions have put your mother through? My dad was so good at overreacting, but I needed somewhere to stay, so I could handle him. But Dad, Mom, come on, I'm still your son. You have the heart to see me homeless and sleeping next to rats? There was a brief pause. Then Dad grunted, You can stay for a few weeks, but only for your mother's sake. Thanks, Dad. You're the man. Bingo. My parents were like putty in my hands. This was the life. I played video games all day, then partied all night. Then one night, I was getting ready to meet my friend Moose, when Mom told me that the pizza delivery guy was at the door. I shouted down to her, You can shout me this one, and I'll get the next. I finished getting ready, and I must say, I was looking smooth. I strode down into the kitchen and grabbed a slice of pizza. Dad was sitting there glaring at me over his report. If you can't afford to pay for items, then I suggest you don't order them. He looked at the pizza slice in my hand. Mom walked up behind him and placed her hands on his shoulders. Darling, give him some more time. He's still adjusting to outside life. Thanks, Mom. You're the greatest. I gave her a greasy pizza kiss on the cheek. Any chance you can lend me some dough? Dad shook his head and sighed, while Mom went over to her purse and passed me some money. Hey, there'd be plenty of time to get a job and be responsible. Right now, I had 4 years of lost time to make up for. Once, I borrowed Dad's car. I swear I only had a couple of beers, but the world glitched out and went all blurry. The next thing I know, I'd driven straight into the neighbor's front yard. Oops. I opened my eyes the next morning to a killer headache, so all I wanted was some black coffee and a plate full of bacon. But I got Dad's death stare instead. Just when I think you can't get any more irresponsible, you took my car without asking, drank too much, then drove into Gloria's beloved rose bushes. Chill out, Dad. I'll fix it later, I said as I raided the fridge for food. You're not the one having to pay for the damages. We've made our decision. You have 1 week to get out of our house. Now hold up. I had 0 places to go. I couldn't stay with Moose, as he was crashing in his sister's garage, and I didn't know anyone else. How could they? I gotta chill a bit, so I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through dating apps. Then I matched with this stunning blonde called Trudy. She's a little older than me, but her family is rolling in dough, and also, she has her own business. Not only that, but she's hotter than an agitated dragon. So yeah, her photos seemed a little grainy, but guess the retro trend was in. Looks like I had it both ways, love and money. I have quite a face, but since I love beer and pizza, and without any dedication for the gym, I don't have the perfect body. But I needed to keep this girl interested. So I told her I was a tall dude with an impressive six-pack, who just graduated and was on the lookout for a girl with brains as well as beauty. This girl was actually pretty easy to talk to. She sent me pictures of her latest purchases, like phones, expensive watches, and designer clothes, along with the promise that when we started dating in person, she'd buy me whatever I wanted. Result: after 4 days of face pics and my priceless conversation, Trudy was smitten, and she sent me a message saying, Cole, I haven't known you long, but I know how I feel. I love you. X. Okay, that's really fast, but yeah, I've won the lottery over here. Hey, maybe she lied about her look too, but it didn't matter. She's rich. So I replied to her, I know, babes. I feel it too. X. We immediately arranged to meet in person and decided on a yellow dress code. I looked around the park trying to spot this gold mine, but all I could see was some old lady in a yellow dress. Okay, coincident, but why is she heading my way? The closer she got toward me, the wider her grin was. Cole, right? It's me, Trudy. What? No. How come this corny, overweight, wrinkly old lady be Trudy? I was expecting the blonde beauty from the photos, not Big Bird. Once I got over the initial shock, we sat down and talked. Turns out my dream girl was in her 50s. All the descriptions and photos of her were true, but 30 years ago. She was clearly in the middle of a midlife crisis or something. You're not the same either, she sneered. You're barely taller than me. And where's the gym body? All right, fair enough. I fake smiled. Yeah, despite you looking different, I still find you very beautiful. That night, I tossed and turned. This was all so unexpected. Trudy was totally not my type. But dating her might not hurt. She was rich. And also, I had to move out tomorrow. So at least she'd pay for me. With that, I sent her a message. Babe, you're beautiful, and I want to make us official. X. The next day, I moved in with Trudy. Now, let me tell you something. Her apartment was lavish. It was full of the latest tech. Crazy. Seeing as she was so old, she probably didn't know how to use them. She worked a lot, so most of the time I was home alone. And I was free to watch cartoons and movies, munch on potato chips, and play as many video games as I felt like. One time, I was watching a movie when the door opened. And in stepped this glary-eyed dude. I shouted at him, "Hey dude, you have the wrong apartment." He tutted and said, "I can assure you that I don't. I'm Alex, Trudy's son, and you must be Cole. I would say it's a pleasure to meet my mother's gold-digging boyfriend in the flesh, but unfortunately, it's not." What? Trudy has a son? And by the looks, he's even older than me. And how dare he called me a gold digger? I suppose I was, but still, he had no right to call me it. Even worse, he refused to leave. He just sat in the kitchen and waited for his mom to return. Then he had a heated argument with her in which he referred to me as a loser and a bum. Things weren't any better with my parents either. Dad told me to be independent and get a real job, not a sugar mama. And Mom was just crying. Whatever. This was their fault for kicking me out in the first place. What did they expect me to do? Live under a bridge? Few days after I met Alex, Trudy insisted on dragging me along to his lame work launch thing. As soon as I got there, I went straight to the food. I was stuffing a mini quiche into my mouth when this girl walked up alongside me and said, "Great minds think alike." I gave her a gormless look. Then she pointed at the food. We both headed straight for the food. I laughed at that. This girl was funny. And hot. Really hot. Her name is Beatrice, and she works for that loser Alex. After that, I started seeing a lot more of this Beatrice girl, as she often popped over with Alex. And while he was arguing with his mom, usually about me, I chatted to her. That was how I found out she wasn't having it easy either. She was behind on her rent because her truant brother had stolen the money and spent it all. I felt bad for her, so I took the envelope full of cash that Trudy had given to me, and I handed it to her. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to buy anything new for a few weeks, but it was worth it just to know that she'd be okay. Truth was, I was really falling for Beatrice, but I couldn't do anything about it, as I was with Trudy, and I was relying on her handouts. Soon, things became stinky. I came out of the shower to see Trudy standing there with my phone in her hand. "How could you?" She threw it at me. Yeah, so she'd read all of the messages I'd sent to Moose, saying how I didn't find her remotely attractive and I was only with her for a free ride. "Trudes, my babes, come on, those messages were just me joking." I laughed. "I was just messing around." "Shut up, you liar! You find me hideous. Alex was right. You were only using me for my money. And worse, you never went to college. Instead, you were in jail." I was about to lay on the Cole charm when Alex and Beatrice bursted into the room. Alex shouted at me, "How lowlife you are. What a shameless gold digger. It's appalling. I've told her to report you to the cops." Beatrice interrupted. "No, don't do that. What Cole did was wrong, but he's not all that bad. Please." I was so moved. Took a look around. Trudy was crying. Alex was so furious his eyes were bulging. And Beatrice, well, she just looked disappointed. I then packed my stuff and left in shame. Well, that was a few months ago, and I have a decent job now. Even though I live back at home, I pay my way, and I'm saving up to put a deposit down on my own place. I never should have used Trudy like that. She might be old, but she still has feelings, and the way I treated her wasn't right. I was undeniably a douchebag back then. All I want is to have a happy life with Beatrice. I really love her, which is why I asked her to be my girlfriend, but she rejected me. Man, it stung, but I'm not giving up. Perhaps she might give me a chance once she sees I've changed. I can't fix the past. All I can do now is improve myself and keep on rolling forward.
Why wasn't it working? I followed all the steps, but still, nothing. At that moment, my best friend Harry walked towards me and asked with a confused look, "Hey, what you doing?" "Hey, Harry. I'm just working on this plan to become popular, but it isn't going so well. I changed my style and posted more on social media, but I'm still not cool." You're probably wondering why I was desperately wanting to be popular, right? Well, it's all because of my annoying hiccups. Last year, I was on stage performing the play Our Town when I suddenly started to hiccup, constantly. I couldn't stop, and the whole audience started to laugh at me. In the end, they had to replace me with my understudy. Not only was it the most humiliating moment of my life, but I've also been teased about it ever since. This year, I wanted to become popular. Then everyone would forget about the hiccuping incident. If only becoming popular was easy. "Hey, you could help me." "No way! Your plan is crazy!" At that moment, the new student, Amanda, passed by, surrounded by a bunch of other students. Why is this girl so popular? I mean, she's only been here a week. "You don't know? She's Dustin's sister. He's already the most popular guy in school. So being his sister makes her popular too. Duh." That's it, Harry. The fastest way for me to climb the popularity ladder is to date Dustin. At first, Harry seemed confused by this, but then he suddenly agreed to help me. With one condition, of course, that after I succeeded in becoming Dustin's girlfriend, I had to introduce Amanda to him. I knew it! He had a crush on her. Every guy in the school does. Fine, I'll help him, as I need Harry in this anyway. He plays a crucial role in my plan, and you'll soon figure out why. After school, I was waiting in a corner at the parking lot when Harry walked towards me, followed by Dustin. "I heard you're giving tutor lessons." "Yeah, that's right. I don't take money. I just need..." "What do you need?" "I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend." Dustin burst out laughing, but then when he saw our serious looks, he stopped. You two are crazy, but I do need to pass math, so... Okay. However, my grades have to improve within 2 weeks. Then we have a deal." "Deal?" I grinned. "Within 2 weeks? That's so easy. What a catch." You must be wondering how we managed to pull that off. Well, Harry's on Dustin's soccer team and overheard the coach tell him if he didn't improve his math grade, he'd be kicked off the team. Basically, we used Dustin's weakness to get the deal. I know I had no chance with him by using my lousy flirting skills, so it's time to use my greatest strength, my brain. Pretty smart, huh? I started to tutor Dustin. Then after 2 weeks, he shot up 2 grades. And that's when he held up his end of the deal and pretended to be my boyfriend. The next day, Dustin and I held hands and walked into school. And just as I expected, everybody was gawping at us. I even heard them whisper about me, "Is that the hiccup girl with Dustin?" And, "Whoa, since when were those two a thing?" Ha! And that's not all. Wherever I went, people would follow me. And in every class, everyone wanted to sit next to me. Finally, I was popular, and I loved it. I just finished tutoring Dustin at his house and was about to head home when his mom appeared and invited me to stay for dinner. Awkward, but I didn't want to be rude, so I said yes. Besides, this was a great opportunity to talk to Amanda. I was sitting next to Dustin at the dinner table when Amanda walked in and gave me a dirty look. What is she doing here? Amanda, manners! Okay, had I upset her somehow? After we finished eating, I helped Amanda clean up. I pulled some homemade chocolate cookies out of my bag and gave my friendliest smile as I said, my friend Harry, he likes you. I was wondering if... Without letting me finish my sentence, Amanda interrupted me. Sorry, let me stop you right there. First, I don't eat cookies. Gross. Second, I assume you're asking me if I want to go out with your friend, right? No, 'cause he's a loser just like you. It's embarrassing enough that Dustin is dating you. Then she walked off, leaving me standing there dumbfounded. Oh my god, couldn't believe what I just heard. How could a person be so rude? Ugh. The next day at school, I wanted to tell Harry to give up on Amanda, but as soon as I caught sight of him, he ran towards me, hugged me, and said, "Emily, you're a matchmaking genius! Thank you!" Huh? What do you mean by that? Amanda just asked me if I wanted to come to her party this weekend. Isn't that great? Yay! What on earth was going on? But Harry looked so happy that I just couldn't tell him the truth. One thing's for sure, there's something sus about Amanda. Of course, I was going to that party too, 'cause I was Dustin's girlfriend, remember? Wow, we were actually at a cool kids party. Our first time ever. This was awesome. Harry even got a bit emotional. What a baby. Dustin and I teamed up to play beer pong, and it was so much fun, and unexpectedly, we won! We were so excited, and both of us cheered with joy and hugged each other without thinking. Oops, didn't see that coming. But what happened next was even crazier. Everybody started to cheer, kiss, kiss, kiss. Oh boy, they couldn't be serious, right? I just laughed it off and hoped everyone would stop. But no, they just kept cheering on. Suddenly, Dustin grabbed my face and kissed me right on the lips. I didn't push him away. Oh no, instead, I closed my eyes and got carried away. I even lifted up one leg. Oh, and FYI, that was my first kiss. After that, we both turned bright red and avoided eye contact. Ugh, my whole body felt hot like I was having a fever or something. Anyway, the party was everything I dreamed of and more. The next day, Harry and I arrived at school in a super good mood, but suddenly, we saw a bunch of students gathering around someone. We squished through the crowd and saw Amanda crying. Turns out, somebody from the party had stolen 2 of her mom's Fabergé eggs. Then, one of Amanda's friends suggested checking all backpacks and lockers of everyone who went to the party last night. But the chances are low. The culprit must have been able to hide all the evidence by now. Still, we should try everything we can, right? I couldn't bear seeing Amanda crying her eyes out like this. Then he gently patted her shoulder. Hey, that was smooth. Way to go, Harry. And so, we checked a few people's belongings and still nothing was found. Then it was Harry's turn. He opened the locker and, oh my God, one of the Fabergé eggs was in there. But how? He would never do such a thing. I opened my locker and, what? There was the other one! What on earth was going on? Suddenly, Amanda started shouting at us. I knew it was you two! Hey everybody, Emily over here manipulated Dustin by using his weaknesses, his love of soccer and his dislike for math. Then she forced him to pretend to be her boyfriend just so she could be cool. Everybody started glaring at me like I was the villain, but I wasn't. There was a misunderstanding. I looked over to Dustin for help, but he just avoided my gaze, then walked off. I didn't know what to do, so I just stood there in shock until Harry dragged me off with him. Well, after that, I was more popular than ever. I was now known as the girl who took advantage of a guy to get popular and then stole from him. Worse, Amanda wouldn't listen to me. Harry and I were clearly framed. I wish I could go back to my normal life before I made that stupid deal with Dustin. Oh, but then that kiss wouldn't have happened. Oh boy, might I have fallen for Dustin? Then suddenly I got a text from Amanda. It was a clip from the recent party with the message, "You're nothing to Dustin." Why are you dating this loser? Wasn't she the girl who hiccuped during the play? I will use her until the end of this semester. Oh my, I couldn't believe he said that. I knew he didn't like me in the way I liked him, but did he have to be so mean? The clip automatically replayed again. Ugh, watching this one time was bad enough. But wait, there was a detail in the clip that caught my attention. I rewound it and, oh my God, there were the 2 missing Fabergé eggs. The clip was recorded at midnight, but Harry and I left the party way before then. I quickly rushed over to Dustin and Amanda's house and showed them the video. I don't remember you both leaving earlier. What if you're lying? Well, I noticed your front door has cameras. If you want, we could check them. Dustin turned to Amanda and confusingly asked, Did you put those eggs in Emily and Harry's lockers? Amanda said nothing, but her head down said it all. But why would you do that? Emily didn't do anything wrong. Because I don't like her being your girlfriend. I like you. What? Isn't she his sister? Oh, Turns out they aren't actually siblings. Whew! That would have been weird. The truth is their parents were really close, and when Amanda's parents died in an accident, Dustin's family took her in. So Amanda was like a sister to Dustin, but Amanda, on the other hand, has been in love with him for a long time. I decided not to make a big deal out of it. As long as she posted a status on social media saying this was all a misunderstanding and that we didn't steal from her, and she reluctantly agreed. Afterward, I immediately got out of there without saying anything else to Dustin, but he ran after me and apologized for not defending me the other day. He just couldn't choose between me and Amanda. And then he said, "That clip you saw wasn't what you think." Ugh. What's there not to understand? It was so obvious. Then what is it? Please tell me. But Dustin just stood there silent and stared down at his sneakers. Just like I thought. There's nothing else to explain, so I stormed off. The next day, Amanda posted the status and our names were finally cleared. My life is back to being boring, but it's okay, as I now know that being popular isn't what brings me happiness. Oh, and about me and Dustin? Well, a few days later, he sent me a video. It was the same clip from the party. At first, this frustrated me. I mean, why would he make me endure watching that again? But then I noticed that this clip was longer, so out of curiosity, I pressed play. And you won't believe what happened in the second half of that video. After the part where Dustin said he just wanted to use me, everybody teased him more. He got angry and yelled. "Yes, Emily is weird, but weird in a good way. I like the way she smells books every time she opens one, and the cute way she gets embarrassed when she sneezes loudly. And do you know what I like most about her? That she hiccups every time she's nervous. You heard me right. I like her." You see? Dustin likes me too. Amanda cut this part of the video out on purpose so I'd misjudge him. But now that I knew the truth, what do you think I did? Yeah, of course I forgave him. I mean, how couldn't I?
Too much studying and not enough sleep was making me feel like a zombie. Chocolate would help, right? So I drowsily walked downstairs. Huh? Why was my whole family there with their suitcases? Are you guys going somewhere? Yes, Colorado for a ski trip. That's awesome! You're the best, Daddy! Not you, Helen. You have studying to do. And this is a special award for Christine for winning her scholarship. What? So you're just going to leave me out because of some meaningless grades? This is so unfair. Ugh! Whatever. I don't even need them to go with me. Shh. Come here. And I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I can go to the ski resort by myself and have way more fun. But how, you ask? It's called lucid dreaming. I first heard about it through the biggest buzz movie, Inception, and realized that I've had experienced the same things before. Since then, I've become an expert at this. So before I go to bed, I just have to write a script saying where I want to go, with whom, what I want to do, and 3, 2, 1. I'm asleep and living my best life. In fact, I could say that those beautiful self-designed dreams are like meditation to me. Because, to be honest, my real life is tedious. No matter how hard I tried, I was no match for my younger half-sister, Christine. In my dad and grandma's eyes, a child of a doctor in physics, as well as a grandchild of a history professor, should automatically be a walking encyclopedia or something. But unfortunately, I didn't excel at the academic side of life. Ugh. They treat Christine like this precious gemstone and me like some boring old rock. Every week usually entails her getting excellent grades or winning some reward, and all of my family lavishing her with gifts and praise, while I'm treated like an outsider in my own family. Ugh! Just thinking about it makes me want to scream. So, they want me to stay home and concentrate on tomorrow's test, huh? Nah, you wish. So, instead, I grabbed my pen and started writing tonight's awesome dream script. Let's see. That's right. The obnoxious Roger dared to heartlessly throw the candy I gave him in the trash, even though he'd been flirting with me. What a jerk. I will definitely retaliate against him tonight. Lying in bed, I closed my eyes and repeated this sentence. I'm going to kick him out of my life. And you won't believe it. In the dream, he kept chasing me like crazy, but I totally blanked him. Helen, wake up! Time's running out! My best friend Gabby kicked my chair and I jolted awake. Oh no, there were only 5 minutes left. I frantically ticked on the paper and hurriedly submitted it to the monitor. Hey, did you not get any sleep or something? Well, I stayed up late writing the script for my dream. It was worth it as I got payback on Roger. What if you get a bad grade? Never mind. I'll be fine when I come home tonight with an A+ dream. But things turned out not to be as simple as I thought. That afternoon when I arrived home, I was about to sneak up to my bedroom to write my next amazing script when someone grabbed my bag strap and pulled me back. It was Grandma and Dad, and both of them seemed to be mad. How long are you going to live like this? Education is important to this family, yet you don't seem to care. Do you realize this week alone your teacher has contacted me 3 times? But Dad, I really don't like those boring subjects. I only like no more drawing or writing your silly stories. You need to focus on your studies, else you'll end up a useless person like... She suddenly stopped, which made me curious. Like who? But neither she nor my dad said anything. They just quietly walked away, leaving me alone. Honestly, I never wanted to disappoint them that much. So this time I was going to try my best to not let them down. Dad! Grandma! Look! I got a B+ in my math test. No one cared what I said. My stepmom cuddled Christine and looked at her with sparkling eyes. My wonderful daughter. I know the top student award is just a piece of cake to you, unlike someone else. Then she turned to me and tutted, Helen, please, you're making a show of yourself. That's embarrassing. My face fell, and I forced back tears. But I tried so hard to get this grade. A B+ is nothing to be proud of. I chucked my exam paper in the trash, then stormed up to my room. It didn't matter what I did or how hard I tried. This household would always treat me like a loser. Dream on, Helen. Go back to your happy place. In front of me was the crimson sunset sky. I'd been scripting this moment for so long, lounging lazily on the beach without anyone complaining. But suddenly the sky darkened, and the inky clouds seemed intent on swallowing me. Huh? What was going on? This wasn't a part of the script. Terrified, I ran into a forest, but it was so dark and spooky here, and I tripped over a branch and fell. Ouch! As I rubbed my ankle and started crying my eyes out, suddenly a strange woman appeared. She took me into a wooden house at the end of the forest and gently helped bandage me up. This woman, well, she didn't scare me at all. Instead, I felt warm around her. Curious, I tried to take a closer look at her face, but then I suddenly woke up and realized tears were rolling down my cheeks. What a strange dream. I immediately drew all the things I'd seen, that forest, that house, but strangely, I couldn't remember that woman's face. Why are you drawing all this nonsense? My dad snatched the sketch from my hand and looked at it frowning. It appeared in my dream and... Get rid of them all. From now on, if I see you wasting your time on these stupid drawings again, there will be consequences. This was too much. I couldn't live without drawing. It was the only thing keeping me sane. I had to get out of here, live my way. Forget them and their stupid standards. I would create my own world. I planted myself in Gabby's room, and this is where I've been for almost a week. Luckily, Gabby's parents are totally chill with me staying. As for my family, they haven't messaged me once. And yes, dreams do go on. But now I dreaded going to sleep as my lucid dreams were still all messed up. Sometimes beautiful, sometimes bad. And for the most part, it did not turn out the way I wanted it to anymore. Until one day, that creepy forest appeared again. No matter how much I screamed to wake myself up, I still couldn't get out of that nightmare. Panicked, I kept running and running in the hope of finding a safe place till I saw that woman. And once again, she reached out her hand to help me. This time, I wouldn't miss my chance. I looked carefully at her face, remembering every detail, and as soon as I woke up, I drew her. Wow, I didn't know you watched this kind of show. Gabby giggled. What show? Look, she's a celebrity. She hosts some TV show that my mom watches sometimes. So, that woman is a real person? If so, I have to find her. I didn't really know what was going on, only that there was something tying me to this woman and I needed to figure this out. Luckily, Gabby has an uncle who works at the studio, and he gave us special passes to meet this host in the flesh. When the cameras stopped filming, she turned and saw me, and her eyes widened in alarm. Helen? Helen, is it really you? Then she rushed over and hugged me. Huh? What did she just say? We didn't know each other, and the weird thing is, this hug didn't feel strange at all. Instead, I felt the same warmth as when she'd taken care of me in my dream. As she loosened her embrace on me and gave me this beaming smile, I said, and you are? Darling, it's me, your mother. That's when I realized something. Of course, she was my mom. Look, we had the same eyes. Needless to say, this was a huge shock. We hugged each other for a long time in tears. Then Mom took me backstage, got me a glass of water, then she told me everything. So after I was born, Mom once got caught up in a cheating scandal. Dad was angry about the damage this would do to his career, so he kicked her out of the house and wouldn't let her see me. A long time later, she found out that Grandma was behind everything, just because she didn't approve of this marriage, so she came up with that plan. But why didn't you ever try to find me when you've always been living this close? Oh, no, sweetie. I've always kept an eye on you. One time, years ago, I saw you playing in the park. You had your hair in pigtails and... I tried to approach you, but your dad threatened me. He is a very powerful man who's actually capable of destroying my life. And I didn't think it was fair to drag you through all of that. But things have changed now. I'll never leave you alone, ever again. I strolled into the house like normal, and everyone stopped what they were doing and glared at me with disgust. Oh, you're back. If you're not prepared to study properly, then don't bother staying. I took a deep breath, then said, You can't treat me like this anymore. I try my best, and it's not fair that you punish me for just being me. So I'm leaving, and I'm never coming back. Psst, where will you go? That's when Mom walked in. Oh God, you should have seen the looks on their faces. Grandma actually looked like she'd swallowed a swarm of wasps. I stood by and let you manipulate and control me. Well, no more. I'm taking my daughter, and we're going to have the life we both deserve. Then, ignoring their angry words, she grabbed my arm and led me out of there. So that's the moment when I left home and moved in with my mom. Now I draw as much as I want. In fact, Mom's letting me create a mural on the living room wall. It's going to be epic when it's finished. Oh, and about the lucid dreams, I don't write scripts anymore. Instead, I realized that I'm better off focusing on my reality and making myself the best version of myself I can be. After all, as great as a dream world can be, it's nowhere near as good as experiencing life firsthand.